Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. I have a guest tonight, Matt Tarns, on with me. And it is September 8th. I haven't done a show in a while. Matt had offered to help me out, so it was great because I really have no material otherwise. Matt, what would you like to say?
Actually, and forgive me for this, but I wanted to sort of pick your brain as someone who, well, I know you're not, a musician yourself, and I don't think you've ever, well, you took some voice lessons, but as you know, there's a local school district that might have me teach an 8-week adult, 18 and up, guitar, intro to guitar for beginners, basic guitar playing for beginners. And I kind of wanted to almost pick your brain or anybody's brain on, because I've never done that exactly before. I've taught beginners, but not on a group level where you have people of maybe different interests or different abilities. Now, I know it's basic guitar, it's intro, it's for beginners, but I don't know that everybody is exactly a fresh beginner who never touched the thing before and doesn't know anything about it. So I wanted to kind of use you to see what might be a good way to go about doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here's what I was playing on. I wanted to get your take on this. So I want you to tell me and be honest, say either, oh, that's a good idea, or I wouldn't do that. But one of the things I wanted to do when I first started it is I wanted to have everybody fill out a little form. I mean, in addition to just getting their name, so I know what their name is, and their email address so I can contact them. But I wanted to sort of ask them, okay, what, and I think, they do this with courses at the beginning. Okay, what do you hope to get out of this course? What do you want to learn? But also something like, what kind of music for guitar do you like, or what guitar players do you like, or what songs do you like a lot that have guitar in them? Just to, again, you can't, there's going to be at least 10 people here, so you can't tailor it 10 different ways. You can't, it's not one-on-one lessons, it's a group class. So I was thinking, like, for you, like, let's say you were there, you would say, like, probably, oh, I really like Robert Smith, right? That he would be like a guy you would write down, and then you would write down. Well, actually, that's a good question. Like, if you were to write down, like, a couple of Cure songs where you really like the guitar playing, first of all, I mean, are you able to tell in the song what is the guitar versus, say, the bass guitar or the drums or the synthesizer? I think so, right?
Kind of. When you're going into bass or regular guitar, I would not know the difference, honestly. I know one's 4-string, which is the bass.
Yep.
And the other one, I'm not sure how many strings. So, honestly, I would not know.
Okay.
I guess what you're trying to look for is something that somebody would have, you have 10 students, what is the same with all the students?
Well,
maybe something
if there
similar.
is anything the same, but it's also sort of like, okay, what do you want to learn? Because obviously I don't want them to feel like they sat in a class and the guy talked about something that, while it was on the topic, had nothing to do with what they wanted. So, now obviously this isn't like all that specified. Like, it doesn't say intro to guitar for people only interested in speed metal or people only interested in flamenco guitar or something like that. But again, I'm just trying to see, like, do you think it would be a good idea to at least have somebody write down a couple sentences on, what kind of guitar music do they like and what kind of guitar players do they like and what songs that have guitar in them that they like, that maybe, things can be steered a little bit in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The thing is, certain things for a beginner, they're not going to be able to do. Like, they might say, oh, I I'm just using this as an example, like I don't know, like Hendrix or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can talk about that in. Like you could say, well, that's another thing too. That and that's a little bit frustrating. It's like people who, and I guess they wouldn't know this, but how do they know what they don't know or what's too hard for them? And then there are people who can't tell. They go, I want to play this song, but they can't tell that it's way above their pay grade, as it were. Right? So you can talk about Hendrix. You can say, okay, well, he has electric guitar. He's using all these different weird guitar effects on there. He's using primarily a lot of blues scale things or that, but it's not like they're going to be able to play them anytime. So really, I think part of the course is just being able to talk about like this particular guitar player or this particular guitar part or this song. Just be able to describe what's being done there, even though the person isn't going to actually be able to do it themselves. Just to sort of put like a label on it somewhat, or be able to say this is what he's doing or the area that he's operating in. But so I don't know, like if you were to write down a Cure song or two or three that you like the guitar, like your favorite, which ones?
Now does it have guitar though? Just Like Heaven?
Yeah.
In Between Days obviously does.
Yep. What part of, because remember, when these bands, they have layers and layers of guitars. So what guitar part do you like? Because what happens is, the song starts with bass and drums.
Yeah.
And then I think the next thing to come in, or, well, maybe not the very next thing, but one of the next things to come in is Robert Smith strumming chords on an acoustic guitar. You remember that from the video.
Yeah.
You can see that clearly that's happening. So is that the part that you like, or is it that high part that goes down that Pearl Thompson plays after Robert Smith has strummed through the chord progression one time, or both parts?
I would say probably, it would be the strings that kind of stick out for me.
The strings?
The guitar.
No, I'm asking you, do you like the Robert Smith strumming the chords, or do you love the single note thing that Pearl Thompson plays? Do you know what the single note thing that Pearl Thompson plays is?
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. Excuse my voice. I have a cold or something.
No, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, I would say it would have to be the second part, the plural.
Oh, so the single note thing.
Yeah.
Not the just strumming of the chords that Robert Smith does.
Okay, maybe it's a little bit of both. You know what kind of sticks in my head right now would be a good example. I don't know if folks would know this, is the Smiths, and one song that sticks out with the guitar would be Big Mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Because right in the beginning, it starts off with a pretty strong...
Yeah, well, that would be what you call jangly strumming.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when that's another thing, too, that's difficult, is that when people say, I want to learn how to play the guitar. Okay, there's many ways to play the guitar. So the jangly strumming of Big Mouth Strikes Again, or the Robert Smith part for Just Like Heaven, they're both the same kind of thing. It's strumming open chords on the guitar in this sort of jangly, resonant way, which is different than, say, the Pearl Thompson part that comes in later, the high melody that goes down, or even in Big Mouth, some of like after in the little guitar break in the middle, that you hear the guitar come in, it's this sort of like 1 or 2 note melody that comes in there, but that's a different way to play the guitar. So the point is, I'm just trying to get across to people, I guess, like, okay, you say you want to play the guitar. How do you want to play the guitar? And I have a feeling that half the people won't know what I mean by that. Like, there's more than one way to play the guitar. Same way there's more than one way to play the keyboard. Like, for example, if you go to see a classical concert given by some big-name piano person...
Elton John?
No, classical.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like classical music. Like Mozart on the piano, Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Chopin. That's going to be different than listening to... who was the keyboard player in the Cure again?
Not Tolhurst, was it? No. You know what? That's a good question.
It might have been.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Pearl Thompson, guitar player. I mean, he's not in there anymore. I think I heard they got Reeves Gabrels in there now, which is pretty crazy. But anyway.
Yeah.
The Simon Gallup was the bass.
Yes.
Boris something was the drum. So yeah, Tolhurst was the keyboard player.
Yeah,
I think.
I was guessing. I'm not really.
I think I could be wrong. So obviously, if you go to see Tolhurst play the piano, it's not going to sound like Daniel Barenbaum or who else? I can't think of anybody. Why can't I think of any other pianist right now? What's her name from Ukraine? Why can't I? Anyway, it's not going to sound like that. So
No.
my point is that there's different ways to play the instrument. Any number of ways. The classical way of playing piano. There's the playing piano in Elton John. Elton John is not a classical player. He's like a pop piano player.
He's a pop. Now,
So the point is to the people who are going to be taking this class, when they say, I want to learn how to play the guitar, okay, how do you want to learn how to play the guitar? In what way? Do you want to sound like Robert Smith when he's strumming chords in Just Like Heaven? Because that's a lot different than, say, Chet Atkins playing guitar, where it sounds like it's three different guitars, even though he's doing it all on one guitar. It's real complicated. Or does it sound like a Spanish flamenco guitar or something like that? You understand what I'm saying? So there's different ways to play the instrument.
well, there's considered where you play instruments, what's called New Age. That's different. There's jazz way of playing.
Well, there's
instruments.
yeah, exactly. There's a different genre of music. So I guess that's the question. It's like, and I think even though there's any number of ways to play any of these instruments, I'm guessing, maybe I'm wrong, I'm guessing that when most people think playing the guitar, I think they mean what we're talking about, which is strumming chords like if you were playing Just Like Heaven, or like almost like the way Bob Dylan played guitar. Now, he wasn't playing any, all he was doing was strumming chords. Pretty much 99% of the time it was just strum, strum, strum. There wasn't any complicated, stuff going on there. You know what I mean? So I think, I'm just trying to, like, I guess, get inside of these people's heads who I haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
To try to ask or try to anticipate what they think guitar playing is. And, one of the things I was going to do was I was going to show them a bunch of YouTube clips of people playing the guitar, but in way different ways. You would see Bob Dylan just strumming chords. Then you would see James Taylor finger picking the guitar, where he's not just strumming chords, he's playing like more complicated lines where that sound like two guitars happening together, even though it's just coming out of one guitar. Or maybe it would be the way a flamenco or Spanish guitar player would play, or Andre Segovia playing classical music on the guitar, playing Bach. So there's all these different ways to play the instrument, and we got to just decide on one or two sort of approaches to it, right?
Yeah. Well, whatever is easier for them to learn. One person that came to mind too, I guess. Yeah, he plays guitar, is Billy Corgan, which that's really kind of heavy and more difficult, I would guess, to play.
Just
for a beginner.
Well, it's an electric guitar sound with effects and distortion on there and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's the thing. It's very problematic to go, okay, beginner basic how to play the guitar. Well, even at a beginner basic level, there's sort of different ways to do it. So I think navigating the different ways is the thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, this I have really no clue how they answer it, because obviously I don't know anything about being a music instructor. But yeah, I guess just finding out what people are interested in would be a good start for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at, is if I could find out somewhat of an inkling of what they're interested in. And I really hope these people at least have some clue, because I hope they're not like, sometimes I get little kid students and I go, okay, well, what you want to play the guitar? What songs do you like? What kind of guitar playing do you like? Who do you like that plays guitar? And you want to kind of like imitate them a little bit at first. And a lot of times they have like no answer for that. They're like, I don't know.
Well, the only good thing is you are going to have 10 adults.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 18 and up. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll have a little bit more of an idea. Because you have to sort of start somewhere. You have to start to, at the beginning, you have to model yourself at least a little bit after somebody. Like, I want to do that. Now, later on, of course, you're going to want to do your own thing. But, you have to, I don't know, it's weird to say this, but you have to know kind of what you want to do, even though you haven't done it yet and you can't do it yet and you don't know everything that it takes to go into it. You have to kind of have an inkling of what you want. I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And know what goes into that a little bit. Like, I would imagine that people who want to be the next Kevin Smith or wanted to be the next Kevin Smith, they would go, okay, Well, I have to know about writing a script. I have to know about how I'm going to get my hands on some affordable 16-millimeter black and white film, probably, and maybe how I'm going to shoot in places that will let me shoot there after hours or not have to pay for it so I can do it on a budget. I have to know all that. But I wonder if there's people out there who are like, oh, I love Kevin Smith. I want to do what he does. And they don't have any inkling about what he actually does. And you can find out by reading. I mean, there's all kinds of, I would imagine. I think there was was it John Pearson or somebody that wrote a book called Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes, which was like an independent filmmaker's guide. I think Kevin Smith was in there big time. So you could read that or these days you can read anything about anything on the internet and find out a little bit about what it takes to go into that. So I don't know. I mean, again, number one, I don't even know if the class is going to get off the ground. It requires at least 10 people to sign up for it. I haven't met the people, so I don't know what, if anything, they know or what they think. I just hope there's not too much of this, oh, I love this guitar player, and then we try to talk about how to sort of move in the style of that guitar player, and yet they don't know what I'm talking about, as if somehow they're hoping to somehow be able to do it without knowing. Like, you have to know a little bit about how to do something to start doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, since it's an intro course, I'm sure you're just going to teach people like the basics, where the basic part of what string means what. Well,
exactly. Now, you were saying you don't know how many strings are on the guitar. There are 6 strings on the guitar.
Okay,
right?
So it's 2 more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there's 5-string basses, there's 6-string basses. These days, you have any number of ridiculous amount of strings on the guitar. Just who knows what. But basically, the guitar is 6 strings.
Now, isn't the bass guitar has thicker strings or something?
Yeah.
Is that what makes it a bass?
Well, the notes you're playing are pitched lower.
Oh.
If you want to get into the science of it, the frequency of the string is vibrating at half the amount of cycles per second or hertz as the same string on the guitar. And when it's vibrating at half the frequency, the pitch is twice as low.
Okay. I mean, maybe that's interesting to talk to people about, like let them know what the difference is between a bass and a regular guitar. I know it's kind of,
but it's not about bass though.
It's about just guitar, regular guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, here's another thing too, and I wonder what you think about this, because you're a guy that sometimes doesn't memorize everything. Like, I want to get across to these people without turning them off that being a musician, even just a mediocre or barely competent one, requires a lot of memorization and remembering things. So, like, the first thing is you got to memorize. Like, okay, I hope they know they'll be able to tell when I tell them that there are 6 strings on the guitar, they're going to remember that. And like next week, they're going to go, wait, how many? Let me count that. You know what I mean? That they're going to remember that.
If it was me, I'd probably forget. No, hopefully not. But hopefully they can remember that.
Or how about this? Now, if you are, very basic things like if you're right-handed, you hold the pick, the guitar pick, if you're using a pick, and usually you do on a basic level, you hold it with your right hand. And then with your left hand, that's where you press down the notes on the guitar.
Yeah.
And we have to memorize that, how we number the fingers. The index finger is finger number 1.
Yeah.
Right? The middle finger is number 2. The ring finger is number 3. And the pinky is number 4. We don't use the thumb. The thumb really holds on to the back of the guitar. It doesn't play any notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm hoping they're going to be able to remember that.
Yeah. I mean, unless you think it would be a good idea to make a diagram or something.
Well, I can do that. And also this. I mean, I hope that I told in the course description, if you read it, I think it's on one of those newsletters for the school, or it might even be in one of the patches, like the Norristown patch or the Trooper patch, or one of those things. I think they advertise them there, and it says in there, make sure to bring a notebook and a pencil or a pen with you to class in addition to your guitar.
Oh, okay. So you can,
yeah. I don't know. I guess I hate to say this, but I guess I'm like being really skeptical and cynical and thinking that everybody is like so retarded that they're not actually going to even think to like bring something or write anything down on.
They should. I mean, yeah. When we started our college courses, you have to come up with pen and paper and stuff. You would think you would remember that. As an adult.
When I was at Monco, the teacher was telling us about. We went in for our final exam, and a teacher told us, the last. And he was like kind of annoyed by this, and he goes, this girl just came in for the last period for her exam with no pencil, no blue book, which you're supposed to come in with.
Yeah.
No. But with Diet Coke and with potato chips.
Well, that was good. She at least brought something to
Yeah.
eat. Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to help you with the test, but, still.
Oh, no. Well, one thing that sticks to mind, because, obviously you're a professional teacher on the side.
By the way,
yeah,
you were saying I was showing you the mock-up for the business card that's going to be for one of my sites talking about being a composer. And you said, well, do you want to consider yourself a composer yet? And I said, well, I mean, I've composed things, so I'm a composer, but I'm not a professional composer.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? What makes one a professional? Do you know?
you get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get paid for it. That's right. Anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, it keeps one coming to mind, in my mind, like a couple students you've had, older adults, folks who want to learn probably piano or guitar, and they're very gun-ho at first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then when you ask them, did you practice? No, I didn't practice, or they just give up because they realize how difficult it is.
Well, yeah, and truthfully, I've given up on hounding anybody to practice. I mean, they're going to do it or they're not going to do it. And if they don't do it, I don't know. I mean, I don't really care that much anymore. That's really on them.
Yeah.
It's up to them how much. And plus, I realize that if I keep hounding them to practice, it's not that they're going to practice, it's that they're going to get tired of hearing it from me, and what they'll do is they'll go, okay, I'll get another teacher who doesn't tell me to practice. That's to them, that's the way they'll solve the problem. Okay, fine. But yeah, I mean, the adult students that I had, this course is only 8 classes long, which is good, because most of the adult students, not all, but most of them, they don't last very long. I just had somebody else stop this past week, and it was a guy who he works he was working 2 days out of the week for somebody else. The other days he was working from home for himself. So he was able to do the lesson at like 2 in the afternoon at home. Okay, great. But most of the time he canceled. He only lasted like a little bit more than a month. Most of the time he canceled, and it was always, I have to get around to practicing. I have to do this. I got it. But he never actually, so again, it lasted like a month, which is no time. And then his idea was, well, I'll give the guitar to my son, let him have a shot at it.
Yeah.
Okay, but obviously so much for you playing the guitar. That was a weird way to solve the problem of not making any progress on the guitar, is to give it to somebody else and think maybe they can do it. I don't know.
Well, then you got to start all over again with somebody else, I assume.
Well,
too.
I'm not starting all over again with somebody else. But.
So you're going to pick up with that individual you picked up with the son, where he left off on his
no.
last. No,
I'm not teaching him. That's not what the guy said. The guy didn't say, I want you to teach my son now. He just said, I'll give the guitar to my son and let him have a crack at it. It did not do with me teaching, I don't think.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Because his son doesn't live there or had the same work schedule or anything.
So bottom line is he just gave up, period.
Yeah. He lasted about, I don't know, I guess you're right, like you say, people underestimate how hard it is. And I don't know, that's interesting. I don't know where the idea, I'm tempted to say I don't know where the idea comes from, that where they think it's going to be easy, but maybe I should be saying, you don't know how hard it is until you try.
True.
And plus you see people who can do it, they make it look easy. Like, but it doesn't look hard, but
it is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is, I was just thinking if I could have people fill out, I figure on the first class, I'll give them a piece of paper that says, here, write down your name, your email address. What do you want to get out of this course? And then what about guitar do you like? What players, what songs, what bands, what kind of guitar playing do you like? And also a little bit about, like I said, because I'm sure not everybody is going to be a complete fresh beginner. There's probably going to be a mixture of people who just bought the guitar yesterday and don't know anything, with people who probably maybe played before a little bit, tried to teach themselves by looking at YouTube and whatnot. And I guess part of my job, too, is to disabuse them of the idea that you're going to take an 8-week course and then you're going to be done and you'll know everything there is to know about guitar.
That's what I was going to say. Like, well, you could actually tell them, hey, if you're interested, what you've learned so far, you can take more classes with me as a...
Well, yeah, that's what my teacher said, the guy that had a heart attack recently. He was like, well, part of the reason you do this is because what it is it's an advertisement for you for in other ways. And, yeah, I'll definitely... I don't know that anybody will actually... They might. Who knows? But I'll definitely make sure everybody has a copy of any business cards I have that mention that. And also I might even hit them up on some stuff that probably they wouldn't be interested in, but you never know. Like, hey, also I am trying to be a composer, and so I got this website, scoresomemusic.com. And also, hey, I got these materials on musicalintervals.com to help you get all your notes memorized and all your chords and yada, yada, yada. So there might be like one student in there who might be ready for something like that. So, yeah, listen, I'm definitely going to take advantage of any shameless plugs to advertise myself.
Well, I don't blame you. It's kind of funny, though, because sometimes with classes you got to do some research online, but the research, they can do it through you on certain things. Like
again, it's going to be like, the first class is going to be stuff like, look, there's 6 strings on the guitar.
Yeah.
Now we also have to memorize how we number the strings, because there's 2 ways to refer to the 6 strings: by a number, 1 through 6, and then there's also what note the strings are tuned to. Because if you want to get your guitar in tune, you got to know what note you're tuning to.
Well, that's true.
Right?
Well,
Now, do you remember from music appreciation how many I shouldn't say that, how many letters are in the musical alphabet? Not the English alphabet, that's 26 letters, but in the musical alphabet, we use a certain amount of letters. How many?
May I take a guess, because I can't remember?
Well, I want you to.
4 or 5?
A little bit more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
6?
7.
So I was going to say 7, but that seemed a little bit too obvious of an answer.
What are those 7 letters in the musical alphabet?
Well, A, B, C. It wouldn't be like the first. Oh, it is. Mm-hmm. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, O, and G.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So the guitar, now there's 6 strings, and
I gotcha. Okay.
There's 6 strings. Now, not every string is tuned to one of those 7, obviously, because there's 7. But well, and 2 of the strings have the same name, except one's a real low one and one's a real high one.
Yeah.
So if you look at the guitar, the lowest string you have is tuned to E. Okay. And also the highest string you have is tuned to E, but it's an E that's vibrating 4 times as fast as the low one, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is you look at the 6 strings and you go, okay, here's a goofy saying that you try to memorize to help you know what they are. If you start on the thickest string and go from the thickest up to the thinnest, you memorize this. You say, Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, right? Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Say that again.
Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie.
Good. Now you take the first letter of each one of those words, or name in case of Eddie, and that tells you what note the string is tuned to. So instead of saying Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, just say the first letter of each one of those 6 words.
E D.
Eddie ate.
Oh wait, E A D.
Mm-hmm.
G.
Mm-hmm.
B.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing one because I was going to say E, but I'm missing one. There's 7.
No, there's 6, and
I'm sorry,
and one of them appears twice.
Oh, okay, so it would be.
Say the original phrase again with the full words.
Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie.
Okay, now just say the first letter of each one of those words.
E A D G B E.
There you go. That's it.
Wow.
So that's the 6 strings of the guitar, provided you start on the lowest one, the thickest one, the one that has the lowest pitch, right? Now, what if we start up on the skinniest string and go the other way and go from the thinnest string down to the bottom string? For that, we need Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter.
Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter.
Okay.
E B G A.
No,
E.
no.
Oh.
Easter bunnies get drunk.
Oh, okay. So it was G. It was G. So I got to do that again. E B G A.
Nope.
Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter.
Yep.
E B E B. Easter bunnies get G D.
Mm-hmm.
Drunk after, which is A.
Mm-hmm.
And E again for Easter.
There you go. So those are the strings. If you go from the skinniest string down to the thickest string, E, B, G, D, A, E, Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter.
Okay, so it's just a matter of memorization, like for
yes,
yeah.
yes. So hopefully that won't be an issue. I hope that's not an issue. Sometimes when you have older students, I mean, I know it's not the case across the board for everybody, but sometimes, and I'm curious what you think about this, sometimes, and again, I don't mean to be mean here, but it seems like when you're older, people have a harder time remembering stuff.
No, it's true. It's true. You don't retain the information as easily as you would when you're...
I've had students before who were like, you know, I had a guy call me once, and he's like, oh, I really, you know, I've been playing guitar for years. I'm 55 or 60 now, but I want to know what I'm doing. In fact, I'd like to teach guitar. So great. This was a couple years ago. And I think I set him up with I didn't teach him myself, but I think like one of my other guys did. Actually, it was the guy you got for me that you found his card at like Lou's 2 Steakhouse or something like that.
Yeah.
He's not with me anymore. But anyway, so I think he had one lesson with this guy, and this guy he was a good teacher. My guy, his name was Bobby. And the guy goes, you know what? I'm not going to be able to remember this. I'm too old. Forget it. And I said, and I was like, okay. And then he's like, could I have the rest of the money back? I was like,
no.
Well, I'll give you one of the lessons back because, you know, you're supposed to pay 1 month at a time, and, you know, you don't really, you have to take the lessons once you pay for them. You can't just, but anyway, I think I gave him like at least the cost of one lesson back. Okay, fine. All right. You know, no problem. And then the guy called me back like a year later, and like as if he was going to do it again. I didn't bother returning his call because, you know, I figured the same thing was probably going to happen again.
Yeah.
So, sorry. But, so yeah, you're right. Memorization is the thing. And, you know, so when you see a musician who really knows what they're doing, they have a lot of stuff memorized. And really what when you're looking at somebody playing who's awesome and you're going, oh my God, it's incredible. Really what you're in awe of is that they're thinking real fast. And what they're thinking is all this stuff that they have memorized about music theory and how the stuff works. And they're able to think about it and recall it and act on it in fractions of a second.
Yeah.
So it's the memorization, it's the thinking fast over fractions of a second that is the thing. And, you know, hopefully nobody's going to be coming in every week and go, and by the way, I'm going to have this written down that I'm going to email it to them. So, and they're going to write it down. I don't expect them to just remember it from memory. But hopefully, with all that, they're not going to come in every week and go, what was it again? Eddie ate what? Or Easter bunnies what? But, you know, what I'm saying is you have to have this stuff memorized.
Well, that's true. The good thing is it's only 8 lessons. That's like pretty much an accelerated half a semester. But at the same time, there's not much for them. There's only so much you can teach them. So hopefully that little bit you're going to be teaching them, they can remember.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's going to be, they're going to write it down. I'm going to have it written down that I can email them. Yeah.
That's a good point, too. I guess is getting their email addresses. Maybe you shouldn't have to, but I guess you can just put all their emails in your account and just send one letter out to everybody at one time.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what these days, you remember, even when you were finishing up college at Monaco and Cabrini, I think one of the first things you do at the beginning of the semester is you make sure you have everybody's email address. Well, that the teacher has yours and you have theirs.
Oh, yeah, in case you need to ask them something or they need to send something out. Hey, a class has been canceled, or this needs to be it's going to be a focus of our next class, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be difficult, I assume, for you again, because 8 classes isn't that. How long are they? About 45 minutes, an hour?
An hour.
Yeah.
Which is going to go by fast.
It really
is going to be the preparation before that is the thing, more than the actual hour.
Well, and you think about it, your first class is your introductory class. This is where we're trying to find out, feel everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really, once you get past that first class, you only have 7 to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much you're going to be able to, at least teach them the basics, see if they're interested in music, and if they are, then they could go further with you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like you said, the teacher mentioned at your school, or the guy you're working with, that, hey, this is a way for you to advertise yourself almost.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take some advantage of that. Not push it, but have it as part of it,
Yeah. Some ways it should be pretty easy for you because it's not like you have a student you're going to be seeing for a couple months or whatever. It's only 8 classes, so.
Well, and also it's material that I've been teaching for 16 years or something like that. Whatever it was, something like that. Well, since 2001, so 17 years, I guess.
Yeah, because it's 2018, so yeah, it is 17 years.
Yeah, now granted, not in a group class, but I think...
It should be a little easier, I would think. Well,
in a way, in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. I think I'll adapt to it after a while. I bet you after, I'm already thinking about, okay, hey, if this works out well, what about, like, maybe in the fall, every year could be the intro to guitar, and then maybe in the spring there could be another 8-week course of, like, something a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you are a teacher already, so yeah, you should be able to give like a regular, I want to say like a syllabus for somebody for, what would that be though for fall? Would that be a 16-week course as opposed to 8 weeks, or would it be another 8-week? Beyond the point of just an introductory to guitar lessons.
Well, it would be another 8-week course in the spring because this is the fall. Where this one's this one's going to happen at the end of September.
Yeah.
So it'll be from September to probably a little bit after Thanksgiving.
But if you gave like a more advanced class.
Yeah, it would be a 102
yeah.
or 201 or whatever. And that would probably be, I don't know. Again, I don't know that this is up to the school district. The school, and by the way, not that I have anything to hide here, but just for the sake of whatever, when you post this, no details about the school district.
Sure.
Or anything in particular.
No, of course. Well, we haven't mentioned anything. It's not going to go any further. Than
Right, but I mean, when you
write
you
it
put
up
there,
or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, you can just put something like, Matt Torrance, music teacher guy, but that's it. And you don't even have to give my website or any of that stuff.
Sure.
But again, that all depends on the school district. They might have no plans for any kind of 102. There might be, for all I know, they might know very well that like those kind of things don't really work. Like people will be willing to sign up for the beginner, but they don't really want to be even bothered past that.
Well, if they even have you come back for a beginner class, or even this time, would you come up with, even for an 8-week course, some type of syllabus the first day, or probably not? Because it's your first class.
I might come up with a syllabus to talk about the stuff that we're going to go over. Maybe I'll have like something like, it's 8 weeks. First class, we'll talk about, these 2 or 3 topics, and then the second week we'll talk about these 2 or 3 topics, and because that would be a good way to map things out. Because otherwise, I'd be up there just kind of talking off the top of my head, which is possible, but it'd be a little bit better to have some structure. So yeah, I'm going to try to have a syllabus to just talk about basically what we're going to do for each of the 8 classes. And I'm sure it can deviate from that a little bit, depending. Maybe we need to spend more time on this. Maybe we can get to the next week stuff early. But yeah, a syllabus, I think they're owed that. I mean,
yeah,
because when you spend a lot of money and go to college, you do get a syllabus. The teachers don't say, I'm just going to make it up as I go along. They tell you what you're going to talk about over the course of the semester.
No, and unfortunately, if I had to repeat a course, yeah, they follow that structure every time they teach that particular class too.
Right.
Which makes it easier for you, because if you find something that works for you and the students, you can use that again.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'm somewhat of a fast learner, meaning that the first time is going to be, not the smoothest, but then after I do it once, and then maybe this will be a regular thing every fall. Maybe like even if nobody's interested in 102, slightly more advanced, maybe like every fall they'll be interested in doing this. For 8 weeks. But then again, I don't know. I think they used to, I don't know who taught the last one. They had one, they haven't been able to offer it for a while. For what reason, I don't know. I guess not enough people signed up, or they couldn't find a teacher.
Yeah.
So I think it's been since 2014 that they had this. And then they contacted me and said, hey, we want to do this again. So I agreed to do it. And, the whole point here is just that I want to make sure that people not only enjoy it, but feel like they got something out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. It's one thing that came to mind when you mentioned it is like how the class will progress will depend on the students, because it reminds me, not with music, but when I had that class at Cabrini with Bonnie Nymphos, where she would slow down the class to make sure everybody understood what was going on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with me, she slowed it down so much she couldn't slow it down anymore.
All right.
But that could be in your favor too, because you can, people won't feel stressed that they have to.
Well, another thing I was thinking of during the class is, like, if I say almost like, I mean, yes, it's a group class, but I might, if I give people something to do, I might come around to each person individually for a minute at a time just to check on them while they're doing the little drill I tell them to do. Like if I say, play all the strings and say the sayings out loud so you know what the notes are, maybe I could, then they all do that. and then while they're doing it, I go around to each person. By the way, let's go back and check your memorization. So if you are right-handed and you're playing the guitar, what does the right hand do?
That actually holds to pick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The left hand, where you're pressing down the notes on the guitar, do we remember how we number the fingers? Which finger is which number?
Everything except the thumb. So your pinky
Is what number?
1.
No.
No. Oh, this would be your. That's your.
Yeah, what do we call that finger?
I am so bad. Your index finger.
Yes, index finger or pointer finger. That's what little kids call it, or your forefinger.
Your forefinger would be number 1.
Good.
So it goes from left to right on your hand, minus your thumb.
From left to right? Oh, it depends which way you're holding your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you're looking at your hand.
I would just say, well, are you looking at it this way or this way?
Well, yeah, that's true. That didn't work either.
So why not
The
just
palm.
the index finger
Index finger
is number 1.
number 1. Your ring finger? Or no, your index. No. What is that called again? I'm sorry.
You don't know what that finger's called?
No.
Would it be your middle finger?
Your middle finger. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Your middle finger.
I think we would know that, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people use their middle finger for many.
Right. Okay. And that's number.
That's number 2.
Good. Okay. Then what?
Then your ring finger is number 3.
Good.
And your pinky is number 4.
Pinky, little finger, whatever we're going to call it, number 4. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thumb does not get used except for the back of the.
Yeah,
guitar.
the thumb is really supposed to hold on to the back. Now, there are players like Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan that use it, but typically it's, like you would never catch a classical guitar player using his thumb. It's always going to be on the back of the neck. Okay.
Here comes the sands.
Yeah. So how about the strings? Do you remember either of the sayings? Even if you don't know which string to start on, there's the thickest string and then there's the thinnest string. One of the sayings is for if you're starting on the thickest string. One of the sayings is if you're starting on the thinnest, the skinniest string. But do you remember any of the sayings?
Sort of.
Okay.
Eddie, 8, Dynamite, and...
By the way, how many words do we need?
It's 6.
Good.
Not 7, but 6.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's G is after Eddie eats dynamite.
No, not Eddie eats dynamite.
8 dynamite?
Yeah.
So that's E.
Well, just say the saying. Don't say the letters.
I've already forgot part of it. Eddie,
Well, you got the first 3 words. Eddie ate dynamite. Dun, dun, dun.
I forget.
Okay. It was Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie.
Goodbye, Eddie. Okay.
Now that, by the way, that is the saying if you start on the thickest string, the lowest string, and you go up to the highest string.
Yeah.
What is the saying if you start on the highest string?
That's the one with the Easter Bunny. Easter Bunny. I forget the rest.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter.
Oh, yeah,
Easter
I did
bunnies
forget
get
that.
drunk after Easter. So, Easter bunnies get drunk after Easter. Now, say that, but only say the first letter of each one of those words. So that to give us the note that the string is tuned to.
EBD. Easter Bunny gets drunk after Easter.
Mm-hmm. So the letters are
E B G D A E.
There you go. Okay. Now let's go back to the other one. If we start on the bottom string, what's the saying there?
E.
Well, the saying. Say the words.
Oh, Eddie gets drunk. Eddie ate dynamite. I got him confused. Eddie ate dynamite.
Mm-hmm. Eddie ate dynamite. Dun, dun, dun.
I forget.
Okay. So now these people are going to write it down.
Yeah.
And they're going to have it also see it written somewhere. So I don't expect them to remember it just verbally. Although, it's funny, in most cultures, learning music is only passed along verbally. There's nothing written down. Like if you were in a tribe in Africa and you're going to learn how to play the djembe or some drum, it's all talking back and forth. Some teacher teaching you stuff, so you don't get to write anything down.
That would be bad for me.
Okay. So Eddie ate dynamite. Bum, bum, bum.
I forget again.
Okay.
It's weird.
Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie.
Oh, goodbye, Eddie.
Okay. So now say that again, but only say the first letter of each one of those 6 words.
E, A, D,
Mhm.
G,
Yep.
B,
Mhm.
E.
There you go. There you go. Now, I'm sure that you would have an easier time memorizing that if you see it written down, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think if you wrote it down yourself, and if I also had it written down for you, do you think after a week, come back the next week, you'd have that memorized?
If I would spend the time at home for a couple minutes or whatever it would take, just saying it over and over again.
Right.
Because that's how, if I had to memorize things when I was in grade school or in college, I would have to do it, repeatedly until
Right.
I would.
Yeah, repetition is the
Yeah.
thing. Okay. Now, I was about to ask this question, but this is useless. Number one, I was going to ask, well, would you do that? Well, if you wanted to play the guitar, I guess you would, but you don't want to play the guitar, so that's kind of a moot question. And then the other thing is, do you think they would do it? And, well, how would you know that? I mean, that's up to them.
Exactly.
Maybe some would and some wouldn't. It really depends. The aggressive student will get this stuff done, and they will show you that, oh, you really did this? Okay, I guess you really want to do it. Whereas the people who go, you know what? This week was, it was crazy, Okay, but then right away as a teacher you go, okay, you probably don't really want to do this that much, or at least so far you haven't shown me that you do.
Well, that's another thing that can be good or bad. One, you only have a few students, which is good, and hopefully those students are there because they want to be. But
that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're older, you're there and you're paying, and you're coming at 7:00 at night on a Wednesday, you want to be there.
Yeah, that's number one. But then the thing is, usually with any class, you expect a certain percentage of students to drop out. Hopefully that doesn't happen with adults.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm curious if this, class runs, will everybody, and let's say it runs with, 10, 11 people, whatever, it's got to be at least 10, will they all make it to the end?
Well, that's the thing, because I remember even at Monco, you had some classes where the students it was a full class, and by the end of the semester, you might have had a handful, and that was like 20 or so people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I went to Monco for something the other day, and there was not a parking space to be found. And here's the thing, because it was like the first day of class or one of the first days. Well, that's going to change in a couple of weeks because people are going to drop out.
Oh yeah, every week there's less and less people.
Or after we had our first big test in Italian, all the people that didn't pass it, took off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's under. You know what? It's sticking in the back of my mind. It'd be kind of funny because now you're going to be on the other side of the table. You're going to be the instructor, the teacher, the professor, whatever you want to call it, a teacher. And what if you get one of those students that where you're the person answer all the questions? I mean, you have that student who is, going to be the person who's going to stand off amongst everybody else.
Okay. Well, hopefully he or she will be doing it in a way that is helpful, and I would use that person to help other people.
That's a good point, actually.
But hopefully he's not going to be one of those people who just starts talking about stuff that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but he's just trying to show that he knows something, but it's not germane or pertinent to what we're talking about, so hopefully that won't happen.
Like when Mr. Torrance would tell jokes that only the professor and him understood and nobody else did.
Oh, so annoying, that guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I just thought of that.
No, the jokes were germane.
Oh.
Nobody
else understood him. Though.
Well, no, they didn't, but that's because they were all like 20.
No.
Like nobody knows if you're talking about the opera composer, Giuseppe Verdi, and you call him Mean Giuseppe Verdi, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Giuseppe Verdi means Joe Green in Italian. So Mean Joe Green. Remember Mean Joe Green, the football player?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you know what, though? I don't know. I mean, see, to my mind, what I'm always interested in is when I hear somebody say something that I don't know what it means, but I can tell it has some kind of significance. I get kind of stimulated to learn about it. Like, I want to look up what this is about.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that annoys me about my parents sometimes, my mother particularly, is that she doesn't know this stuff, but then she won't do the grunt work to actually look it up and find out about it. She'll just like, I think I don't know, she was asking how old somebody was, some political figure. And I said, or something or other, and I said something like, well, I knew the answer, but I didn't want to to give it away, because when you tell people, then they don't remember. But if they look it up themselves, they'll remember. And I said, well, you can find it out online. And her answer was, I'm not really that interested. So that's really the problem. The thing that holds people back and from having more knowledge, and knowledge is power, and having more information is themselves. They're like, well, I'm not that interested. So I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'd like to think I have a pretty good appetite for trying to look up things and learn things that I don't already know. I mean, to some extent anyway.
Yeah. Well, there you go again, though. When you get older, you seem like not only do you not absorb things, your interest is very low.
Yeah. Like my mom is interested primarily, at least at night, in being in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And like watching shows that you've already seen. Like Barney Miller's funny, but you've seen it already before. So, when I first started paying attention to current events in politics, probably shortly after 9/11, 2001, there was a whole world of stuff I didn't know. I didn't like turn my nose up at it like, oh, who wants to care? I wanted to find out about all this stuff because I would hear people talking. I would see guests on people's shows, on these cable shows, and they would make references to things that happened in the past, and I didn't know what it was, so I wanted to find out about it and learn what it meant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It really, your intellectual curiosity is the thing. If you have that, then you will get somewhere. If you're not really interested, like bring it back to the point of this class. If you're not really all that interested in playing guitar, you're probably not going to be a good guitar player.
Well, that's true. Again, the only thing is it's good and bad. You have 10 people, but if that percentage goes down, you start it with 10. How low can it get before?
Well, once the class starts, it's not like they're not going to go, okay, it's been 5 weeks, but now 4 people have dropped off, so the class is canceled and you're not getting paid. That's not going to happen.
Oh, no.
Once it starts, because here's the thing, the people have to pay. They're not going to get their money back. Like if they pay for the class, they have to pay in full. I think it's going to be. I think the cost of this is like something like $125 or something for 8-hour classes, and of that, I get, I don't know, 75% of it or something like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah. But the point is, if they drop off and don't come, it's not like they don't get their money back, and the class doesn't get canceled. I still get paid for it.
Well, I guess the thing is just keeping it interested enough that they want to come back, but that's going to be kind of difficult too.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't win this.
So they have another class maybe in the future.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine that.
I don't mean to make it hard on you either.
I can't imagine that I'm going to be that bad of a teacher that, like, after a couple classes, everybody's going to go, you know what, I'm not learning anything. This isn't worth it. I'm out of here. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think it would be necessarily you. I just wonder how many people are going to be like some of your students where they
listen, stuff is going to come up. Like, if these people are adults, they actually have, like, families and real lives, and I don't. I don't have a family or a life outside of music, really, so to me, music is number one, but to them, it ain't. It's going to be, oh, well, we're going on vacation with the family, we're taking a cruise, or we're doing this, or something came up with my son. So they're not going to put this first. They're just not. I mean, I do, but they're not going to.
No, but also when they figure out, wait a minute, this is a lot more difficult than I thought it was.
Yes, except we're not going to do anything that's
that hard.
That hard yet. It might be a little bit hard, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be, here, play Paganini on the acoustic guitar the second week. It's not going to be like that. Now, it's still going to be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tricky that is
challenging.
Doable. Challenging, but doable. Not impossible. If it's impossible, then, nobody's going to stick with that. But it's not going to be like that. It's just going to be, hey, can you just strum this one chord in time over and over again? Strum, 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 row, row, row.
I was thinking of that, but yeah.
But anyway, what
are you going to do? You can't do it on the guitar. I was going to say, can you do a round on the?
Yeah, well, you could.
You could.
Well, sure. Well, a round is more the melody, meaning the melody starts, and then it starts again with the second group of people a certain amount of time later, and the first group keeps going, and the second group comes in later, but it works together, even though one person's on one part and the other person's on another part.
I like the way it sounds. It'd be interesting to do that with some people. Like having them strum one
Well, it wouldn't sound good if one group of people is strumming the D chord and the other group of people is strumming the G chord. That's not going to work. Remember, round is a melody thing.
It is.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily. And then right when you start with merrily, the other group comes out with row, row, row your boat. And that it's almost like counterpoint or whatnot, where it's got two different melodies that work together. But it's not going to work together for it to be polychordal, where you got different chords stacked on top of each other. I mean, it might kind of, but probably not really.
Probably not with guitar. One thing that came to mind, I thought it is actually coming up, believe it or not, on 55 minutes, too. It's pretty damn good.
We should probably stop maybe shortly after an hour.
Yeah, because it's coming up on an hour and 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like classical music, not with guitars, but maybe with violins or something, where they have one part playing one.
Well, it's counterpoint. It's different lines, different melodies that work together. They're playing different parts. A lot of times, there'll be imitative parts, which will, like, one violin will play one line, and then as it goes on to the next part, the other violin plays what the first violin did a couple measures ago.
Yes. I like that sound too. Like, again, you probably
well, that's
can't
like the Bach Baroque. Well, no, we can't get complicated. That's people's heads are going to explode.
Yeah,
we're just got to. What we have to do is pretend that we're sitting. Really, we have to try to sit around the campfire and strum real simple, basic chords and sing "Kumbaya" or "Row, Row, Row Your Boat" or folk songs like that
to get people interested or give them an idea, get their feet wet. And
well, that's all we can handle at the moment. We're not going to be able to handle all these intricate interweaving lines where this part comes in here and this other part comes in here and they work together. That's not going to work.
That'd be for a 102, 103 class or whatever you would call it.
That's for a counterpoint class. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If there's anything else I can... Because what we talked about was, how to number the strings, how to name the strings. Well, how about this? Here we go. We talked about what notes the strings are tuned to. We talked about how there were 6 strings, but we also sometimes refer to the guitar strings by their number, right? The first string or the 6th string. So, you got 6 strings on the guitar. You got a thick one and then decreasing thickness up to the skinniest one.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea, the thick one, what string number is that, if you had to guess?
The 6th one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what you do to memorize that is you say, because it kind of almost rhymes, 6th is thick. So the thickest string, the one with the lowest pitch, is the 6th string. And then the skinniest string, the thinnest one, the one with the highest pitch, is the 1st string. Right? So 6th is thick. So would you be able to memorize that on a guitar, the thickest string, the one with the lowest pitch, is string number 6, and the skinniest one with the highest pitch is string number 1? Do you think if that was written down, you could remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be a little bit easier than Eddie A. Dynamite or the Bunny
right.
one.
Okay. And then after that, there is playing chords on the guitar, like Robert Smith does at the beginning of Just Like Heaven or lots of other, songs.
Yeah.
And that's just a matter of putting down 2 or 3 or maybe 4 fingers in certain places on the guitar, pressing them down, and then strumming all or most of the strings, and that gives you a chord. Also, I think I got to talk about the difference between, because people say, I want to be able to play a song on the guitar. Well, what is a song on the guitar? If you were just strumming the chords, like take Just Like Heaven, the chord progression is an A chord, then an E chord, then a B minor chord, and then a D chord. And most of the song, not the whole song, but most of the song is those 4 chords over and over and over again. Now, if you just grab a guitar and strum A, dun, 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 E, dun, 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 B minor, dun, 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 D, dun, and that's all you're doing, is that a song?
Not necessarily.
No, it's not. It's chords.
Yeah.
A song is not just the chords, because you can't copyright a chord progression.
No, it's
and Robert Smith can't say, hey, nobody else is allowed to play A, E, B minor, D. I copyrighted that. That's mine. I mean, you can't do that, right? That's, So the song is the melody. The song really is when he goes, show me, show me, show me. That's the song. That's the part that's copyrightable, not just the chords. So that's another thing, too. The people that are going to be coming in, I have a feeling, again, I don't mean to not give them enough credit, but I don't think they know what a song is necessarily, because they're going to say, I want to learn how to play a song. That's the thing. Okay, well, what do you mean by playing a song? Do you mean strumming the chords while you're or somebody else is singing?
I would get confused about that, because honestly, I would think that certain melodies could be copyrighted.
Yeah, but the chord doesn't really create much of a melody.
No. See, I didn't know that, though. That's about
Okay,
why.
so that's the thing, too. I'm hoping I can get that across.
You couldn't do it with Walter, no.
Yeah. I don't know. So I guess that was the thing. I was just trying to pick your brain on, a good way to start, a good way to jump in at first. And I think it's going to be trying to get an inkling of what the people are interested in, what they maybe already know, and then also disabuse them of things like, strumming chords is not a song.
Yeah.
Or, okay, you say you want to play guitar. In what way do you want to play guitar? Because there's not just one way to play the guitar. There is all kinds of different styles. And really, there's so much to it that you could almost it's almost like doctors being specialists. Like, you got this doctor, but he only is a foot doctor. Or you got this doctor who's only a ear, nose, and throat guy or something like that. Yeah. So really, you could be a musician, a guitar-playing musician who really just does one thing,
Yeah. Now, I mean, I guess since it is an intro course, you could probably introduce certain ways you can handle or play the guitar.
Well, I'm going to show clips on YouTube of, again, guys playing it differently. Bob Dylan versus James Hetfield from Metallica. Now, they're both playing guitar, but are they doing the same thing?
Absolutely not, no.
Or Eddie Van Halen playing fast solos.
Yeah.
Or Andre Segovia playing classical music on a classical guitar. Or a flamenco guitar player, right?
Yeah.
Or James Taylor. Or, so it's all playing guitar, but it's pretty different approaches in most cases.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because then people can kind of, once they see that, they can say, well, this is kind of what I'm interested in or more comfortable with.
Yeah, because you have to at first say, well, I want to do this. I want to, because when I started, it was either all playing James Hetfield Metallica riffs, like metal riffs. There was that, and then there was also the Iron Maiden guitar solo. That was my favorite. My two favorite things were the Metallica riffs and the Iron Maiden single note guitar solos.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I wanted to do. So at least I knew, because I wasn't like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I like this, but I like that, but I like flamenco guitar, but I like James Taylor singer-songwriter stuff, and I also like The Cure, and I also like, you got to start somewhere. Right.
Yeah, well, that's true. We're over an hour right now, though, and let you know. I was kind of curious, like, Bryan Adams, isn't his way, would it be guitar, would be different than other people, too, right? I'm thinking of Boys of Summer.
Well, Boys of Summer is primarily playing what are called power chords, which are just chords that only have two notes in there, that are pitched low on the guitar. He's not playing real high-pitched stuff. He's playing on the bass strings, the lower strings 6, 5, and 4. Eddie 8, Dynamite, they're the lower strings, the bass strings.
Okay.
And he's playing power chord sort of like driving rhythms, chunk, 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 that kind of thing that drives the song. Of course, that's, again, that by itself is not a song. It's just a sort of a progression of power chords.
Well, the way he plays, would that be considered different than the other people mentioned, like Metallica?
Well, it's certainly different than it would have more in common with Metallica than it would have in common with Andre Segovia. Well,
because it's more, I don't want to say pop, but more
it's rock guitar.
Right.
But it would have more in common with Metallica. It doesn't sound like Metallica, but it has more in common with Metallica than Andre Segovia or James Taylor.
No,
like if you were taking Bryan Adams,
yeah,
and then you had Metallica, and then you had James Taylor, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Which is it closer to?
I guess, like you said, Metallica. You mean Bryan Adams?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be closer, like you said, to Metallica, even though it's
at least
more heavy
on some songs.
Yeah,
maybe he does have a song that's more like James Taylor.
Well, probably more where they'd be closer together would be Metallica's album of Black, because that was a little bit less gritty, less grungy sounding.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the song, because probably that's another thing too. Is it probably excuse me, most of Metallica's songs have a certain sound, and most James Taylor songs have a certain sound. Now, Bryan Adams, he might have some songs that sound more like one and some that have more like another too.
That's true.
So he might have a lot of variety in his song. Like Metallica, probably, if you look at, especially look at the first 5 or 6 records, there's probably not all that much variety in their sound. It kind of all sounds like Metallica, basically, but some other people might have more variety within their sound. Which may or may not be a good thing, because, some fans want it to sound a certain way and not deviate from that, while maybe other fans appreciate the fact that there's variety and, hey, the songs all sound different.
Some musicians, I guess they try to become progressive or try to change over the years. Other ones don't.
Well, I think they probably say, I don't want to keep writing the same song over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, yeah, I don't know.
Actually, you know what that reminds me of? I don't want to keep on going on. I never thought of that. One of the bands I do like, which was Depeche Mode, not David Gahan, but Martin Gore plays guitar. And now he plays a little bit differently, too, the way he plays his strings.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Metallica sound.
No.
Right? I mean, again, James Hetfield and Martin Gore both play guitar, but they don't do it in the same way.
No. And the way he sings, too, obviously, Martin Gore. But, yeah, the way he strings the guitar or how he plays his instrument is different.
Right. Yeah, it's a different approach, you would say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to
No.
start in a different direction.
Well, no, it's what I was talking about. It was the idea, again, telling these people who go, oh, cool, I'm going to play guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. Okay, how do you want to play guitar? Do you want to sound like James Hetfield? Do you want to sound like James Taylor? Do you want to sound like Bob Dylan? Or do you want to sound like Andre Segovia? Do you want to sound like, So that's the thing to think about is like, okay, you want to play guitar in what way? Because there's many ways to do it. So same thing, do you want to sound like James Hetfield or Martin Gore? Because they're both guitars, but I don't think you're going to hear Martin Gore playing any Metallica.
Absolutely
riff,
not.
Right?
No.
So, okay, so I'm about done here. If there's anything you want to talk about. And I don't want to talk about politics or current events.
No, this is actually good because this is something I'm really not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to the best of my knowledge, stay focused on the subject and not go in a different direction.
No, I think we were right there the whole time.
So that's good for me because it's very difficult for me to do so. So
okay.
If there is nothing else to be said, I might as well say this is it, because that way I won't focus on other things.
This is the end, beautiful friend. Whose song is that? This is the end.
I'm not sure.
The Doors.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I sang it very well. Nobody would probably be able to identify it, but still.
Now that you mentioned that, now I can picture that song from The Doors.
Yep. Okay. Okay, we're done. Let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day. That was Matt, the music teacher guy, Matt Tarns, and I am Walter from iWalter. And, yes, I will be signing off for now.
Signing off.